It has long been said that inflammation is the root of all disease. But is that really true? Well, it's definitely a big part of the story, especially with chronic illness and autoimmune conditions. And there is very solid evidence that chronic inflammation is not only involved in conditions involving the gut and immune system, but also the brain and nervous system like autism, ADHD, anxiety, and epilepsy. But while the traditional medical doctors throw heavy hitting medications like NSAIDs, corticosteroids, and so forth at it, and integrative medicine or biomedical practitioners put patients on intense diet changes, detoxes, and vitamin or supplement protocols. For the vast majority of patients here today, there is an even deeper and almost hidden root cause of chronic inflammation and illness in kids and families. While biomedical functional medicine, the testing, it looks way deeper than traditional medicine does. No amount of lab testing or blood work will ever find stress and dysfunction in what's called the vagus nerve and the autonomic nervous system. While it may sound so stinking simple, and it is, chronic stress is the number one really hidden in plain sight cause of inflammation, even in kids. So who is this video for? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down the most advanced and up-to-date science on inflammation and chronic illness with a special emphasis on the role of the nervous system, the nervous system stress, vagus nerve dysfunction, nervous system dysregulation, and sympathetic dominance. And I'll show you how optimizing the vagus nerve and getting that functioning, getting the nervous system balanced and regulated, it could hold the real key to so many of your child's health struggles. You'll learn all about the safe, simple, and gentle ways we can stimulate, activate this essential part of the nervous system, and most importantly, how to first find out if your child's nervous system and vagus nerve are stressed out and dysfunctional, and what caused it to be that way in the first place. Because here's the thing, roughly 27% of children in the United States have a chronic condition, and 1 in 15 have multiple chronic conditions. Moreover, research indicates that the prevalence of chronic conditions is on the rise among pediatric patients. This is a sure sign that the traditional medical system is failing our families, and that while inflammation is absolutely a big part of this chronic illness pathway in kids, there must be more going on that is currently not being addressed with conventional and often even biomedical approaches. So, is there something more going on than poor gut health, dysbiosis, and microbiome issues? It's part of the story, but not the whole story. Once you start digging into chronic inflammation, 95% of the information online will rightfully and awesomely take you deep into the biomedical field that talks all about the gut microbiome, how it controls and connects to the immune system and inflammation. That will lead, most parents on an awesome journey to remove gluten, dairy, grain, sugar, toxins, and so forth, and often add in all sorts of diet changes, detoxes, vitamins, supplements, and so forth to try and heal the gut and combat inflammation. This path is extremely helpful and effective path, but it's also often incomplete. The number one missing part of the science and the conversation, even in natural health world, is stress on the nervous system and neurological interference. And more specifically, what's called vagus nerve dysfunction or dysautonomia. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve running from the brainstem to the major organs like the heart, lungs, and gut. It coordinates the parasympathetic rest and digest response, which is crucial for activating the body's self-healing and recovering process. We know also that the vagus nerve is significantly connected to the immune system, and specifically the control and regulation of inflammation. So when the vagus nerve becomes interfered with via something called subluxation along the pathway of this wildly important nerve, right? So when we have things stressed, irritated, more tone, more tension on this nerve, the gut and immune system dysfunction sets in, and inflammation can run rampant even with pristine diets and all sorts of lifestyle interventions, supplements, cold plunges, infrared saunas, and so on. So how do we find vagus nerve dysfunction? That's that hidden cause of inflammation. And this is where this cutting edge technology called neurological insight scans comes into play, because here's the thing: this stress on the nervous system doesn't show up on blood work or stool samples. It doesn't show up on anything in traditional medicine or biomedical functional medicine either. These scans are sensory receiving information, reading information from your child's nervous system. They are all neurosensory, neurofunctional scans. Now, the most important for this inflammation conversation is this neural thermal scan, and it can detect areas of subluxation or nervous system interference, inflammation, and temperature changes in the neurospinal system, which indicates vagus nerve dysfunction and nervous system dysregulation. And what we see all the time in chronically inflamed kids is we see this upper cervical right here, or this brainstem subluxation. Now, this is the area that the vagus nerve comes out of and makes its way all the way down into the gut, the immune, and adrenal system. So the adrenals, cortisol, adrenaline, those are all involved in this conversation. So what happens? And this is a child who is chronically struggling with autism, inflammation, and gut issues. They'd already cleaned up their entire diet. They'd done a full biomedical intervention for 2 years. They've been on a pristine, perfect diet. They had taken all the chemicals out of their home. They were doing thousands of dollars of supplements and homeopathics and all this functional medical care. And this is the child's initial thermal scan, which shows the upper cervical, sympathetic dominant, vagus nerve dysfunction, pro-inflammatory trigger was right here the whole time. This child had a failed vacuum, emergency C-section birth. That was the hidden trigger of the hidden trigger. And so when we see these scans all full of that tension, that interference, and that subluxation, that is the hidden cause of chronic inflammation. These scans provide a comprehensive view of the nervous system, just the quality of the nervous system's health, helping to identify the underlying issue. So if your child is struggling with inflammation-related symptoms, such as autoimmune disorders, autism spectrum disorders, anxiety, seizures, or other neuroimmune related health challenges, it's time to look beyond just managing the symptoms and even just addressing inflammation through diet changes, nutrition, and natural health measures. Balancing the autonomic nervous system and optimizing the vagus nerve function is essential for resolving persistent inflammation that does not respond to either traditional or biomedical interventions. So if you're sick and tired of seeing your child sick and inflamed and struggling with their health way too often, despite feeling like you've tried it all already, give us a call to schedule your nervous system dysregulation and vagus nerve dysfunction scans and find the real root cause of your child's chronic inflammation and health struggles. God bless. Take care.